Welcome to another episode of the AI Sales Leader. Today, we're tackling a massive transformation happening right now in sales development. We're focusing specifically on the future of the sales development rep, the SDR. If you're a leader looking after revenue, or maybe you're an SDR yourself, well, you already know the old traditional model. It feels fundamentally broken, doesn't it? So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We need to understand exactly why that appointment setting model is failing. And crucially, what specific modern AI-powered workflows absolutely must replace it if we want to drive real pipeline.
And you really have to start with, well, let's call it the truth bomb. Because treating SDRs purely as calendar bookers or just appointment-setting engines,
Yeah.
that approach is actively destroying pipeline quality. The data, honestly, it's shocking. Reps right now spend about 65% of their time on non-selling tasks. We're talking about huge admin burden, list scrubbing, constantly switching context, bouncing between 10 different tabs.
65%. Wow, so 65% of their entire week is not spent selling. And what about the other 35%? What do they actually get for the effort they do put into outreach?
Well, the results are pretty grim. Reply rates are often sinking below 1%. Think about that. That means basically 99% of all that effort is just generating noise. It's not signal. And to add insult to injury, we see that only about 37% of organizations actually task their SDRs with setting fully qualified opportunities. Most are just chasing, semi-qualified chats or maybe generic introductions. We absolutely have to shift the goalposts here. The focus really needs to move away from just raw activity towards measurable signal.
Okay, that transition, or maybe the lack of it, that really explains the burnout we're seeing. Reps feel like they're just output machines, right? And then the account executives, they constantly complain about getting unqualified meetings, or worse, meetings that just vanish before they even start. And leaders, they're left staring at these activity dashboards that, sure, they look great, 100 dials, 200 emails, but actual revenue impact, it's negligible. It's what you called pipeline theater.
It is the absolute definition of theater. And the real question, the core issue is, why? Why did the SDR role get reduced to just being an activity tracker in the first place?
Is it just about compensation? Like, if the problem is simply tying paychecks to meetings set, why hasn't the industry already moved away from such an, archaic framework?
Because it's safe. And it's easy to measure, right? The definition of the SDR role shifted years ago. It moved towards quantity, just fill the calendar instead of quality. And quality, that's really rooted in uncovering actual business problems. So when compensation is tied only to meeting set, the rep's only goal, their only incentive, is getting a prospect to commit to 15 minutes. Doesn't matter if that prospect has budget or urgency or even a real need. And let me just give you a quick kind of painful anecdote here. I spoke to an SDR just recently who'd admitted they spent their entire Monday morning just trying to manually fix stale data in their CRM. Why? Just so they could hit their email quota for the week. That's a whole day just lost, gone. Purely non-selling admin work, all to fuel an inefficient activity-based metric. And that generates what we call junk pipeline, the kind AEs absolutely hate.
Okay, so if the underlying system, the whole intention behind the SDR team, is fundamentally flawed, then layering AI on top of that sounds, frankly, terrifying. This feels like the great paradox facing sales leadership right now. They all want AI for efficiency, for speed, but applying that power to a broken, activity-driven culture, it feels like you're just accelerating the failure.
That's precisely right. I mean, look at the outcome drop-off. SDR-sourced opportunities, generally speaking, across the board, they're often closing at only around 20%. 20%. That fact alone should prove that just multiplying meetings does not equal multiplying revenue. You are simply wasting resources faster. You're generating noise more efficiently. That's all.
So if we make the investment in AI, is it just going to shine a brighter light on how bad our foundational process really is? Is AI a tool that can help fix the crack, or is it just going to make the crack bigger and more obvious?
AI is essentially a mirror. That's the best way to think about it. It forces you, forces the organization to really look at whether your sales system is built for activity or if it's built for measurable outcomes. If you're still relying on the old activity-based model, well, AI just amplifies all that wasted motion. Sure, you'll generate a high volume of meetings, maybe even more than before, but your close rates, they'll stay stuck down around that 20% mark.
But what if we pivot? What if the system focuses on quality? On diagnosis, like you said, not just volume? What changes then?
Then it becomes a multiplier for success. When the SDR role is actually centered on diagnosing problems, on surfacing true qualified opportunities, that's when we see close rates move north of 30%. And what's maybe most critical here is the change in deal value. Average deal values, we see them climb by more than 55%. Why? It's because the very first conversation is aligned to a defined business outcome. It's not just some desperate attempt to get a calendar invite accepted. AI, in that context, amplifies precision.
Okay, that sounds like a complete rewrite of the traditional SDR playbook. Really moving past things like static sequences, those weak A/B tests we all run, and frankly, superficial personalization. To achieve that kind of lift, like a 55% boost in deal value, that requires real tactical precision. So, if the appointment setting model is truly dead, what are these 5 dynamic AI-powered workflows that need to replace it?
Right. We absolutely must move past using AI just to automate bad behavior faster.
Yeah.
That's the trap. These 5 workflows, they're specifically designed to build real high-quality pipeline by focusing relentlessly on relevance and insight. And the workflows, they kind of break down into 3 areas: preparation, outreach, and enablement. We need to focus specifically on account research, then persona pain mapping, signal-driven personalization, multi-thread outreach, and finally call prep. Those are the 5.
Okay, let's start with preparation then. The account research workflow. How does that fundamentally change the game? Because, an SDR spending 30 minutes just generically Googling, that feels like a huge time drain, and usually they just come up with the same bland information everyone else finds anyway.
It changes by shifting the output of the research. The old way gives you facts. The new way gives you insights. It uses customized AIs or sometimes specific middleware tools to frame those research outputs into tangible, actionable data points, things the SDR and the AE can actually use. So it's not just reporting that, say, the company is hiring rapidly. It's translating that hiring surge into a diagnosed business problem that relates directly back to your solution. This ensures every single touch point, every email, every call is rooted in meaningful business context. You're diagnosing a high priority problem. You're not just guessing what might resonate based on, their latest press release.
Diagnosis, not guessing. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But the second workflow you mentioned, persona pain mapping, doesn't that just trade one-time suck for another? I mean, tailoring a message really specifically to an individual executive, that used to take hours for each account, which is exactly why SDRs defaulted to those generic email blasts, right?
That is the beautiful part about applying AI correctly here. You're right. Historically, pain mapping was incredibly manually intensive, hours of work. But AI dramatically reduces that effort. What used to take maybe a few hours to truly research and map specific pain points to a specific executive persona, that can now take maybe 20 to 30 minutes, end to end. The AI provides the structure, the framework, and then the SDR applies the crucial human context and nuance.
And what does that, say, 20 minutes of precision actually unlock? You mentioned some pretty exponential sounding results earlier.
They really are exponential. When you align your solution, your outreach, to specific known pain points that you've derived from this workflow, you see things like 4x reply rates. You see 5x more actual meetings booked. And maybe most important metric, a massive 60% meeting to opportunity conversion rate. That's 60% conversion. That is the metric of precision. That shows you're talking to the right people about the right problems.
Okay, moving to the third workflow, the signal-driven personalization workflow. Now, almost every sales leader I talk to is chasing intent data these days. But if everyone is using the same basic intent data signals, doesn't that just lead to a new kind of race to zero, where we're all showing up at the prospect's door at the same time, probably with the same generic message?
That's the critical challenge, exactly. Most organizations, they chase generic, often siloed intent data. Someone searched for X. Okay, great. So did your 5 competitors. The strategic advantage comes from using AI to dynamically score and surface the right time and the right need. It guides the SDR to where the prospect is going. You're not just reacting to a keyword they typed last week. You're looking at predictive indicators, things that suggest an emerging need.
Like the old Wayne Gretzky quote, right? Skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been.
Exactly. You're arriving potentially with a solution to a problem they may not even fully realize they have yet. That positions you as a strategic guide, a problem solver, not just another vendor pitching a product. That is how you dominate the highest quality pipeline opportunities. Then the fourth one, the multi-thread outreach workflow. This is essential. We have to acknowledge the reality of modern B2B buying. Buying committees, they often span 8, 10, even 12 different stakeholders. And where do deals usually die? They die internally. They die because the internal champion, the person the SDR initially connected with, couldn't secure buy-in from all the other decision makers, influencers, or budget holders involved.
Okay, but if I'm an SDR, how does AI practically help me manage tailored approaches for, say, 12 different people within one target account? That sounds like an overwhelming amount of work.
That's where AI comes in to map the landscape. It must map the full account, not just the obvious decision makers, but also those crucial technical influencers, maybe even potential blockers. AI helps the rep tailor approaches across maybe 15 or 20 key personas within that account structure, defining what each of those individuals cares about in relation to your solution. It aggregates the data, it suggests the tailored messaging angles so the SDR can then execute the multi-threading strategy efficiently. It dramatically increases the survival likelihood of that opportunity because you're proactively mitigating that internal risk. And then finally, the fifth workflow. This is the call prep workflow. Prospects today, they expect reps to know their business, to understand their problems deeply. You simply cannot afford to show up unprepared for the precious few meetings you do secure. This workflow ensures that, say, 5 minutes before the meeting starts, AI surfaces a precise, concise briefing right for the rep. It details who is going to be in the virtual room, what their likely individual priorities are, and maybe even suggests which discovery questions matter most for that specific group. This demonstrates meaningful understanding from minute one. And that is absolutely essential for securing that critical second meeting and actually advancing the deal into real pipeline.
Okay, so when you stitch all 5 of these workflows together, starting with the research and mapping, going through the execution, and then the final preparation, you genuinely move past that idea of pipeline theater and you get into genuine pipeline creation. So what does this new reality actually look like on the ground? What are the key metrics of success for an SDR team that has fully embraced this precision model?
Well, first off, the old 100 dials a day activity model, it's dead. It has to be. But let me be clear. Smart activity still matters. It's just measured differently. We're talking about meaningful conversations created, not just calls made. Opportunities generated, not just meetings set. In this new precision model, the metrics of good look vastly different from the old ways. You see SDRs spending maybe 80% of their time actually engaged in meaningful, high-impact conversations. They shift away from all that admin and busy work. Outreach reply rates climb into that respectable 5 to 10% range, sometimes even higher. Meeting to opportunity conversion consistently reaches that 60% threshold we talked about. And then the bottom line revenue metrics. Overall, close rates rise north of 30%. And crucially, average deal values grow by more than 55%. That is the measurable impact of prioritizing precision over just generating noise.
Wow. Okay, this whole conversation has really laid out the case clearly. The death of the traditional appointment setting SDR, AI acting as that mirror, reflecting organizational flaws or strengths, and the tactical power of those 5 specific AI workflows designed to build real qualified pipeline.
And that really boils down to the actionable takeaway for everyone listening. If you are an SDR right now, my advice is identify just one of these workflows. Maybe start with persona pain mapping, for example. Find the AI tools, implement them, and start reducing your manual lift immediately. Start getting precise. If you are a leader, the message is even clearer. Stop measuring just meeting set. Start measuring pipeline contribution, opportunity conversion rates, deal value. The path to clean pipeline and real predictable revenue impact is absolutely through precision, not through generating mass noise.
The knowledge is out there, the path is clear, but as always, execution is what determines the winner. So here is the final thought for you to consider today. How quickly can your organization realistically shift resources away from that old, static list dialing mentality and move towards true problem diagnosis using these workflows before your competitors figure this out and start dominating the highest quality, most lucrative pipeline opportunities in your market? Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next episode of The AI Sales Leader.